O Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path of liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. O Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. O Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. O Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you. Clear like Dharmakaya, we supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru. Nakaya, we supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the fourth Kaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the fourth Kaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the fourth Kaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord, Buddha, protector of wandering beings. May all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free bias of attachment and aversion. May all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. In the state of emptiness, the non-referential nature of all phenomena, on the seat of lotus, sun, moon, and corpse, one's mind as a brilliant red bum turns into Vajrayogini, red complexion, radiating with empty bliss, wrathful in demeanor, with 3 eyes gazing towards the sky. Right hand with a Katri, left holding a blood-filled Kapala. Her mouth is slightly open, tongue curled back and making the sound pem, and protruding from the right of her face is the face of a black sow. She is in the form of a 16-year-old with breast swelling with bliss, and adorned with the 5 bone ornaments, and wearing garlands of flowers and heads. Joyfully her right hand holds aloft a Vajrakatri pointing towards the sky, and her left holds a blood-filled Kapala directly in front of her navel center, and held under her arm is glorious Heruka in the form of a Katwanga, dancing with her left leg standing upright and right bent, arisen within swelling red lights of empty bliss. Then above her head, in an expanse of 5-colored rainbow lights, on a jeweled throne supported by lions, elephants, horses, peacocks, and garudas, in the center of a lotus, free from the faults of samsara, and on a sun and moon that eliminate sufferings of cold and heat, the exalted mind of sovereign Vajradhara with the 7 attributes, the totality of the exalted speech of the Dharma of emptiness, of the perfection of wisdom, the exalted body of the perfect Buddha possessing the 10 powers is Jikten Sumgön, embodiment of the 3 jewels, Lord of the teachings, victorious, rich, impelled presence of the Dharmakaya, pleasing to those trainable, Sambhogakaya, blazing with the splendor of the major and minor marks, and Nirmanakaya, glowing with reddish white light. Lord of the teachings, wearing the 3 Dharma robes, a sleeveless shirt with the 7 noble riches, a meditation hat symbolizing ceaseless empowerment, and a golden skirt of the complete 9 vehicles. Right hand subduing the hordes of Maras by touching the ground, left in the mudra of the samadhi of immovable meditative equipoise. He sits in the Vajra posture, free from the extremes of samsara and nirvana. To his right and left are thrones, and on seats of lotus and moon are Avalokita in person, the Bodhisattva himself, Gonjoratna, dressed as a bhikshu, holding a crystal mala and a stalk of lotus with his 2 hands. To the left is Chokitrakpa in the form of a bhikshu with the 3 robes, Manjushri in person, holding a vajra and bell and a axe and sword on lotuses. Both of them are wearing the meditation hat symbolizing changelessness. They are like reflections of the 1 moon dancing on many waters. They are accompanied by the 85 accomplished masters of India, and by an ocean of Kangyur Siddhas of Tibet, gathered in the main and intermediate directions like immeasurable clouds. With Jah, the hook of faith draws in the wisdom beings from the expanse, with whom they arrive as the support of joy and kindness for wandering beings. With Bum they abide as the joy of limitless compassion. With Ho they move with a smiling demeanor, taming and caring for wandering beings. With compassion, please stay here with the light for the sake of wandering beings. I respectfully pay homage with fierce and longing faith of the 3 types to you, the glorious Guru, Lord of the 4 Kayas. With my body, speech, and mind, I make offerings of all these established things, outer, inner, and other. The one who offers that which is offered and the act of offering are indivisible in essence. This being so, I make this offering of the great single taste, free from elaborations, Grant me the accomplishment of effortlessness. I lay bare the impairments and breakings of the vows of the three vehicles and rejoice in your liberating deeds. Please turn the wheel of Dharma in accordance with the capacities of those to be trained and remain here for as long as samsara has not been emptied. I dedicate the merit accumulated in the three times to the welfare of wandering beings. Chukudrupa dorje chamchen la so va dep so kyagar drupjen gechi sanga la so va dep so tile shera zambo la so va dep so naro yeshe ngodrup la so va dep so Kangyur loda marpa la sova dem so mila sheba dorje la sova dem so Dabo da o shunu la sova dem so dumto kampa mi sum la sova dem so Padu dorje gyabo la sova dem so jizun dorje peodra la sova dem so Kyamcho Jikten Sumgön la sova dem so choje rana shiri la sova dem so Kenchen sutrim dorje la sova dem so onchen sonam taba la sova dem so Chenga drapa jungne la sova dem so chungo dorje drapa la sova dem so Tongkarin chen senge la sova dem so samche drapa so nam la sova dem so Chuni dorje rinchen la sova dem so Tuku dorje gyabo la sova dem so Nirni churki gyabo la sova dem so Shenyen dondru gyabo la sova dem so Rinchen pyagi gyatsen la sova dep so chugya rinchen pyazan la sova dep so Ringsen chugi gyatso la sova dep so gyawang kunga rinchen la sova dep so Jesen rinchen punso la sova dep so Rinchen nambar gyawa la sova dep so Benchen Pyogi Gyatsen la sova dem so Chule nambar gyawa la sova dem so Tsungme chogyao punso la sova dem so Drupchen tashi punso la sova dem so Jesen kunjo rinchen la sova dem so Ringsen chugi drapa la sova dem so Kuncho tinle namgya la sova dem so Kuncho tinle sambo la sova dem so Tinle dondru chogya la sova dem so Kuncho tenzin drodru la sova dem so Tenzin chogi nima la sova dem so Kyabda peme gyatsen la sova dem so Jamyan chogi gyatsen la sova dep so Druvan chogi gyatsen la sova dep so Rinchen tempe segen la sova dep so Gyawan toje nima la sova dep so Ringsen nuden dorje la sova dep so Jesen chogi lodro la sova dep so Yacho shive la so wa deb so, Jikten dharmakara la so wa deb so. Tripsa tenzin tupten la so wa deb so, Drogon dabo kagyu la so wa deb so. Rinchen sawe lama la so wa deb so. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the rarity of freedoms and endowments. I still squander away my life. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, although I meditate on impermanence and death, I still fixate on composite phenomena as permanent. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate the unmistaken nature of cause and effect. I still pervert what to adopt and what to abandon. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the sufferings of cyclic existence. I still take the way to the lower realms. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I safeguard the vows of individual liberation. I still lack renunciation and the determination to be free. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on all wandering beings as my parents. I still have bias attachment to friends and aversion for enemies. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate loving kindness and compassion. I still hold on to envy and enmity. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate aspiration and action bodhicitta. I still focus only on my own welfare. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my body as the deity's exalted form. I still cling to ordinary perception. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I have counted the mantras to be recited, I still waste away my life force. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate the samadhi of water, moon in the water, I still solidify things as real and substantial. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I conclude by dissolving in the subsequent stage, I still purify and confess superficially. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my own mind. As free from elaborations, I still have conceptual attitudes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate not grasping at whatever arises, I still affix an artificial watchfulness. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on resting freely in the natural state. I still amplify artificialities. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, Reckless and mundane, although I meditate on unity beyond conceptions, I still get carried away by the masses of likes and dislikes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, I supplicate you who are my refuge and protector in this and all other lives, physician who removes the chronic diseases of samsara. Hero who vanquishes the enemies that are afflictive emotions, sun which dispels the darkness of ignorance, moon that protects from the heat of suffering, jewel which fulfills all our needs and desires. You, Guru, who are all-inclusive and all-sufficient, I supplicate you from the depths of my heart. With compassion, swiftly heed me, effortlessly bestow your blessings. Grant me now and on this seed the naturally accomplished feast of the two benefits. I am endowed with both merit and devotion. Do not leave my hopes unfulfilled. Don't cast away my devotion in vain. Don't let my supplications vanish unanswered. Don't be indifferent with your compassion, refuge and protector in this life, in the intermediate state and beyond. Whatever occurs, joy or sorrow, good or bad, only you are my hope. Look upon me with eyes of compassion. You alone are my hope. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgön. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Kunchoratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Kyuntrun Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgön. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Kunchoratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyundun Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgön. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Kwancho Ratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyundun Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgön. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Kwanchoratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntrun Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgön. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Kwanchoratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntrun Dharma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgön. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Kwanchoratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntrun Dhamma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgön. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwan Konchorana. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntrun Dhamma Kirti. I supplicate you, supreme refuge, Jikten Sumgön. I supplicate you, compassionate Garwang Kwanchoratna. I supplicate you, gentle protector, Gyuntun Dhamma Kirti. From this life onward until awakening is reached, other than the three of you, you victors, father and sons, I have no other hope. Don't lose your compassion and give up on me, as there are none like you, kings, you victors, father and sons. You are all that I need, my only hope and reliance. I supplicate you with fierce and strong devotion from the utmost depths of my heart. Without delay or indifference, look upon me with your eyes of primordial wisdom. After this life, while I am in the intermediate state, draw me out with your hook of primordial wisdom and compassion. You can read now the next section, and we will start back up on page 41. Thus are these three victors, father and sons, the gathering and embodiment of the ocean of Kangyur gurus and siddhas and all idams, dakinis, and dharmapalas with wisdom, knowledge, loving compassion, exalted activities, and protective powers. By your blessings, bless me and all sentient beings so that our minds turn to the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma turns into the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma enters the path. Bless us so that the path clears confusion. Bless us so that confusion dawns as wisdom. Bless us so that all our karmic and afflictive obscurations and our cognitive obscurations and habitual obscurations are cleared now. Bless us so that they are cleared on this seat. Bless us so that they are cleared in this session. Bless us so that our mind streams are cleansed. Bless us so that our mind streams are fully liberated. Bless us so that we are liberated now. Bless us so that we are liberated on this seat. Bless us so that we are liberated in this session. Bless us so that the Supreme Samadhi arises unmistakably in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Bless us so that the unmistaken supreme primordial wisdom arises in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your forehead center, white lights emanate, dissolving into my forehead, immediately fully cleansing my body and my waking state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Nirmanakaya, the exalted body Vajra. The Guru's exalted body and my body are inseparable. This is the indestructible appearances, emptiness, kaya, siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your throat center, red lights emanate, dissolving into my throat, immediately fully cleansing my speech and my dream state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Sambhogakaya, the exalted speech, Vajra, the Guru's exalted speech, and my speech are inseparable. This is the indestructible sound emptiness, Vaka Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your heart center, blue lights emanate, dissolving into my heart immediately, fully cleansing my mind and my deep sleep state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Dharmakaya. The exalted heart Vajra, the Guru's exalted heart and my mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible clarity, emptiness, Chitta Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your navel center, golden lights emanate, dissolving into my navel, immediately fully cleansing my equipoise mind in the moment of transition of their obscurations. Having ripened the Swabhavika Kaya, the three primordial wisdom Vajras, and my body, speech, and mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible bliss, emptiness, Sarva Siddhi. Here the retinue dissolves like breath on a mirror disappearing. The glorious Guru's exalted body dissolves and furthermore turns into beautiful masses of five-colored lights resplendent like 100,000 suns. These lights dissolve into oneself. Immediately you are blazing in various colors of light. Bright lights and rainbows fill the 3,000-fold universes. This is the indivisible unity of clarity and emptiness, just as it is. Primordially free from elaborations, the great middle way, seal and perfection. Don't be confused by the names, their meanings are identical. the indivisible unity of primordial wisdom, Evam Maya Alala Ho. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. So we continue now with the biography of Gyalpa Jikten Sumgön that His Holiness composed, the short biography. Recently, His Holiness published another detailed biography in Taiwan. Published this book. It's not really available for sale. It's called Liberation Upon Seeing. It's just distributed, kind of privately distributed. Yeah, so this is a longer biography, both in Tibetan and English. Anyway, I think when we, read these biographies, we have to remember a few things, a few assumptions that we might make now that I don't think is necessarily relevant to this time period that we're talking about, right? So the time period we're talking about, Gyalpa Rinpoche was born in 1143 and passed away in 1217. 1143 to 1217. So, so whatever, if you have been to Nepal, if you've been to Tibet, if you've been to Bhutan, and you think about, oh, monastery looks like this, and this is what happens in monasteries, and all those things that we today see, I think you cannot, just simply assume, and think, oh yeah, that was how it was in Gyalpa Rinpoche's time. Yeah, far from, For another thing, a very important, crucial point. Yeah, the official, I guess, if you want to say that, the official canon or collection of sacred collection of scriptures that all lineages of Tibetan Buddhism consider to be, to embody, to bring together all the words of the Buddha, as well as the commentaries of the great Indian masters. So it's 2 sets of scriptures. The words of the Buddha that were then translated into Tibetan, that collection is called the Kangyur. Kangyur basically means the translated words of the Buddha. or the translated like words, but the words in honorific ka, the same as Kagyu ka. So Kangyur is the translated words, meaning words like words of the Buddha. There's over 100 volumes in that. Then the Tengyur, the translated commentaries of the great Indian masters, over 200 volumes. So together, it's about more than 300 volumes. Sizable, collection. So all Tibetan Buddhist traditions, monasteries, nunneries, and in some rare cases, even lay people, they all would want to have a set of the Kangyur and Tengyur as part of their shrine. Because that is like the physical symbol of the Dharma. But in this time of Kyoba Rinpoche, the Kangyur and the Tengyur has not been completed yet, or compiled. Completed meaning, translated into Tibetan. So the contents of the Kangyur and the contents of the Tengyur have not been translated yet. For sure, they were not collected yet into what we have them today, Kangyur Tengyur. I've mentioned before, texts actually were very hard to come by. There was no ancient equivalent of Amazon.com or all the pirated, downloads that you can make of books. Nothing like that at all. So there may be a copy of this sutra or that tantra, which, people know, oh, so-and-so has a copy and so has another copy. Yeah, in our valley, we don't have any copies of any of these. So texts were very rare and precious. Frequently, what's common was, maybe one particular person has, say, the translation of the Vajrabhairava Tantra, like the root teaching on Vajrabhairava, which is the deity that Kyoba Rinpoche's father was an expert on. So let's say, it could very well be like in the whole area there, only he had the root, the original, the first teachings on Vajrabhairava. And he may have a copy of that. But I'm not sure even if he has. For sure he has the practice text of Vajrabhairava, the meditation manual. But whether he had the root teachings, root means the basic fundamental teachings attributed to the Buddha, does he have a copy of that? I'm not sure. And if he has a copy of that, and if he was teaching it, then what the common pattern is, people would come and people would say, we know you have a copy of this, and we would like to learn this. We would like to learn this tantra. Would you teach us? And if he agrees to teach them, then a number of things could happen. He would say, okay, I first need you to memorize the first few pages of this root tantra. So then he might give them the physical few pages and say, by tomorrow or by next week, you should memorize all of this. Then you come and he will test you. Oh, you have memorized. And then he will teach. Then perhaps when you have fully finished the whole course of study and in theory memorized the whole root text, then he might give you permission to make a copy of this text, like to then copy down, Can you imagine, copying down this text as like your parting thing to do, and you take with you. That was how difficult it was, to have access to texts. So that's, again, one of the things that I think we tend to forget. We think, oh, yeah, they had, all these texts, I'm sure you and I also have seen photos of like, monastic libraries in Tibet, with huge bookcases and thousands and thousands and thousands of books, That's a little misleading if we think, oh, it's always been like this. Or if we think, every monastery has this. No. Even now, these collections are rare, and hard to come by. Yes.
One question, would he have given it, presumably if he had the root text, would he have given it freely when people came to request?
Probably not, of course. Yeah, whether you want to think, however you want to think, why he won't give it freely, and no, it's often not freely given. Easy come, easy go. Yeah, so for example, Gyoba Rinpoche coming with a horse, right? And silk. A horse, that's like, I don't know, bringing a car and say, here, Guru, I'm offering you a car, Or maybe a slightly used car, maybe not brand new. But still, I mean, this is not, while you are asking this topic, not very comfortable, especially, I'm often, not always, I'm often on the receiving end, right? But so just so you have an understanding, you offer to your lamas or whatever, teachers, if they are within the system enough, they have a lot of people coming to them, Can you help with this? Can you help with that? Can you please help with this? Can you please help with that? Anyway, I said, as for these offerings, for teachings, for whatever, one way to think about that, and when you say, how much should I offer? Well, depending, anchor it on something that translates into something concrete, into your life, your reality. Yeah? So what does that mean? So you think, if I were to hire someone to clean up my yard, how much do I pay an hour? If I were to hire a private tutor to teach me language, how much do I pay an hour? If I were to hire an attorney, how much do I pay an hour? So I'm not saying you have to give your guru what you give the attorney, but anchor it on something, then you have a reference point. You're saying, well, I'm paying the rate of, McDonald's, manager, or a McDonald's, burger flipper. I don't know, these days, $15 an hour. I don't know. I see these signs. It varies from city to city, cost of living. I don't know. In Nashville, it's like $15, $20, for someone to make burgers for you. So that's, speaking of, yesterday we had a meeting for the Peru pilgrimage group, and the question of dana came up, and I said, well, you doesn't matter, who is giving what, and you anchor it onto something that you have a reference point. Then things fall into perspective. And so these days, these texts too, see, there is nothing rigid, so many cases of also the guru, understanding that this particular student has given everything, and they don't come from wealth, nothing at all, right? So the guru's job is to support them, even feed them, even house them, even clothe them. Many of the people that eventually came to Kyoba Rinpoche didn't have anything. And Kyoba Rinpoche himself was like, it's like in other biographies it says, his fellow Kampas, from the Eastern Tibet, throughout the time he was with Pakmodrupa, they were so embarrassed. Because Kampas are kind of proud people. And also Kampas, in a way, kind of like to show off. But Kyoba was tethered, like barely has any clothes, that was remaining on his body. And he walked around like that, and it says in this early biography, his fellow countrymen are like, God, this guy is just embarrassing. Like, why does he look so poor and so ridiculous? And he had nothing. Whatever he had, he gave, I think the story with the horse, I think, is something like the silk. Then he sold that, exchanged it, and used that money. I don't know if he offered that money to, I think he offered to everyone in Pakmodrupa's assembly. But in many cases then, for those who don't have anything at all, the Lama have to take care. Feed them, house them, pay for their books. Sometimes send them to go study with other people. And say, oh, take this money and go, It said that all the offerings that Kyoba Rinpoche received, later in life, of course, so much came to him. And he said he used all of that to send people off into retreat. Here, take this money, go into retreat. Here, take this money, go into retreat. Here, take this money, go into retreat. It's not enough for you to buy a fancy house, but it'll be enough for you 6-7 years, inside a nice cave for food and firewood and, now go, now go, now go. So he constantly was doing that. Yeah, so this biography now, So remember we said, finally he was able to come and see Pakmodrupa. And then Pakmodrupa said, I have great hopes for you. All this is my blessing for you. And for you, I underwent many difficulties and many trials. And on that day, Pakmodrupa said, today my retinue of disciples is complete. So apparently, actually, in the months leading up to Gilpa Rinpoche appearing, Pakmodrupa started to say how my retinue of disciples still not yet complete, and this was towards the later part of Pakmodrupa's life. In about 2-3 years after Gilpa Rinpoche arrived, Pakmodrupa passed away. And so, but still, even though at that time already Pakmodrupa, had so many disciples, as I said before, it said that he has 500 disciples that have parasols held above their heads, meaning they have retinue following them. It's like a, this way of saying they were masters in their own right. 500, but still Pakmodrupa is saying, not yet. And then on other occasions, he would say, before Gilpa Rinpoche arrived, he would say, my successor, my heart successor is going to be a lay person, an upasaka. So Gilpa Rinpoche, when he arrived, he wasn't a monk. And majority of the people in Pakmodrupa's community were monks, with maybe a few exceptions, and he was one of the exceptions. So anyway, here it says, on that day, Pakmodrupa said, today my retinue of disciples is complete. And he gave a teaching on aspiration bodhicitta. Step by step, he then gave Jikten Sumgön the bodhisattva vow and teachings on Mahamudra, the 6 dharmas of Naropa, and other such topics. Gilpa Rinpoche already, of course, received bodhicitta vows, all of that, but Pakmodrupa nonetheless, went through again, so that he received these teachings from Pakmodrupa. Jikten Sumgön was very happy with that. And 3 times, Pakmodrupa gave Jikten Sumgön teachings on the true nature of the mind. On 3 separate occasions. This is called like the mind instructions, usually done one-on-one, where Pakmodrupa introduced this nature of mind to Gilpa Rinpoche. And it's said that at the 3rd time, Jikten Sumgön had some deep realizations. And at that point, this realization was so powerful for him. Then he thought, oh, this is it, There is nothing else, that I need to know, that I need to learn. Now, he didn't necessarily, I don't think at this point he necessarily thought that he was enlightened, but he definitely felt that all I need to do now is to deepen this experience that I have, and to keep deepening it, and stabilizing until, enlightenment is achieved. So he felt like no more. He doesn't need to learn new things. Everything now is complete. He was satisfied. Again, the first biography written about him by his immediate disciples, a constant theme in there is that Jikten Sumgön was very self-confident, to the point of even being arrogant. He would talk about this, Jikten Sumgön himself, and say, I was very arrogant, I was very cocky, as we would say in the US, very cocky and very arrogant. But he didn't necessarily like display this arrogance, But arrogance need not be displayed. Arrogance is not always, what you show people. But inside, he was arrogant. And apparently, like one of the reasons why he did not become a monk, when Pakmodrupa was alive, when he was with Pakmodrupa, in fact, Pakmodrupa kept saying to him, you should become a monk. You should become a monk. And he said, in his mind, basically, he's like, no. Even though, great respect for his teacher, all of that, he is like, no. And part of what was going on was he was arrogant. He was thinking, all these other monks here, I'm way more serious than them. So he judged them, Yeah, he was way more serious in that sense, right? His clothing is falling apart. So probably the monks are all well dressed now, or whatever, and he's like, look at them, they're still attached to this. I'm. Yeah. Also, then with this realization, he's thinking, I have this realization. I don't need to become a monk. That's just external things. It's not like he's saying, oh, maybe I still want to get married, so I don't want to become a monk. So that's not the reason. He's just thinking, I don't need these trappings. I'm beyond that, And in fact, the so-called monks over here, they're not very impressive. See, before he got there, he really felt like, oh, this place by Pakmodrupa must be so wonderful. All the disciples must be so amazing. It is like the Buddha with his disciples and all of that. Then when he arrived, he was like, So I think sometimes it speaks to us too, how we might think, oh, and then finally we get some place, we meet that person, we're like, Or at least the people around that person, maybe we still very admire that person, but then the people, like, and then you start to think, well, if the people that is around this person is like just like that, But sometimes it's our own arrogance and our own perception. Maybe not sometimes, all the time. But this is not to say that there are no problems there. All the time, what I mean by all the time is, yeah, of course it's all the time, because your perception is your perception. So, Kenjen Rinpoche, Kenjen Goncho Gyaltsen Rinpoche, he said, that you cannot see that other people are Buddhas is not other people's fault. Fundamentally, it's not other people's fault. It's you cannot see other people as Buddhas, What can other people do? Now, the footnote to that is, of course, I want to say, this doesn't, mean, the people in whom we particularly train to see as Buddhas, it doesn't let them off the hook. They cannot go around with bad conduct, meaning teachers, senior students, quote unquote, cannot go around with bad conduct and then, have this attitude or say to other people, hey, that you cannot see me as Buddha is not my problem, it's your problem. That is when communities, especially Vajrayana communities that emphasize Guru is Buddha, things like that, get very messy and get even abusive. So be careful not to grow unhealthy communities. We do our job, and they have to do their job. And underlying all of this has to be mutual care. That I need you to behave yourself so that it's easier for me to perceive you as Buddha. That's a reasonable request. Then yourself, you have to take responsibility and say, a lot of times if I get very critical, if I complain, it's mostly my stuff. Right? Because, like, for example, if a certain thing you don't like about a certain person, and then if this person then turns out to be someone that you're learning from, maybe it's because, like in psychology, we say, like it reminds you too much of your dad or your mom. So that for sure, then it's a layer that has to do with you, that makes you see, right? What we say, a mountain out of a molehill. It's a little mole hill, and you think it's a mountain. So while we're working on reducing, right, these mountains back to their molehill status, you also want to do this within a community whereby the people that you're supposed to look up to is cooperating by behaving themselves. If they're not cooperating, then wrong place, go somewhere else. So this delicate balance is necessary. So here in this biography, just to show that even with someone like Pakmodrupa and someone like Jikten Sumgön, fault finding is still present. But never mind. So he thought, Jikten Sumgön thought, oh, that's it, The third time he received these instructions, he had a powerful realization. Then he said, that's it, So then he went to the Lord of Beings, meaning his teacher. He called his teacher the Lord of Beings. Drogon is the word Drogon in Tibetan. Gun is like Gonpo, protector. So actually, more literally, maybe protector of beings, of wandering beings, Drogon. Then he went to Drogon, Pakmodrupa, and said, all apparent phenomena are included in the Dharmakaya of Mahamudra, so there's no need for other teachings. One should have devotion and confidence in the Guru because of his kindness. So he went to almost like make a pronouncement, to his teacher. Basically saying, I now understand, all phenomena is included in the Dharmakaya. And through Mahamudra, this has been revealed to me. And now I understand this, and I understand that. I just need to practice this and to practice devotion to you. That's it, Guru. Then the Lord of Beings said to him, what are you saying? Until you achieve enlightenment, you will need the 5 dharmas. You should not abandon the 5-fold path of Mahamudra. You may be satisfied with your realization right now, but there is much farther to go on the path. And then he's like, oh, And so here, after that, Jikten Sumgön put all his energy into the practice of these fivefold Mahamudra. So basically, what we're seeing here is Jikten Sumgön realized nature of mind and then thought, I don't need all these other things. I just can practice nature of mind. But Pakmodrupa says, no. If you feel that way, That tells me something. And so then Pakmodrupa taught him what we now know as the fivefold Mahamudra. The Mahamudra that has the 5 components. The 5 components are bodhicitta, deity yoga, guru devotion, the natural state Mahamudra, which is the nature of mind, and then dedication. So these 5 are sometimes analogized with the lion. The head and the body of the lion is the natural state Mahamudra. It's the nature of what is taught through Introduction to Nature of Mind. And then there are step by step within this training, working with happy events, working with unhappy events, working with illness, working with failure, working with enemy, always checking the mind through all of these experiences. So that's the main body called the natural state Mahamudra training. And when the mind is still, when the mind is moving, when the mind is elated, when the mind is depressed, you deliberately bring these all in order to stabilize that realization of the nature of mind. In some ways, the realization of nature of mind is not so hard. Through the interdependence of the right guide and your willingness to open your heart, and the opening of heart is related to having merit. Through that interdependence, it's very possible, to realize nature of mind. But the practice of Mahamudra really starts when, having realized this nature of mind, now we need to train to have this realization when good things are going on, bad things are going on, mind is running around like insane, mind is still, conditions are positive, conditions are adverse. So healthy body, sick body, happy mind, sad mind, all through all of this, this realization has to be bright and clear and present. And that is the training. So that is analogized to the head and the body of the lion, and then the other 4 parts, bodhicitta, the deity yoga, guru yoga, and dedication are said to be the 4 limbs, the 4 legs of this lion. So if you have the body with no legs, this is not a very useful lion. If you have 4 legs and no body, then also not much use, or not effective. And so then over time he trained in the fivefold path. Then he began to gain certainty in these teachings, and then he composed the following song. I bow at the feet of glorious Pakmodrupa. If the steed of love and compassion does not run for the benefit of others, it will not be rewarded in the assembly of gods and men. Attend therefore to the preliminaries, and hear specifically the preliminary of love and compassion, and in other words, bodhicitta. If one's body, the king of deities, is not stabilized on this unchanging ground meaning mind, the retinue of dakinis will not assemble. Be sure, therefore, of your body as the idam, as your form, your body, your appearance as the idam. If on the guru, the snow mountain of the 4 kayas, the sun of devotion fails to shine, then the stream of blessings will not flow. Attend therefore to this mind of devotion. If from the sky-like expanse of mind's nature the clouds of conceptual thoughts are not blown away, then the planets and stars of the two wisdoms will not shine. Attend therefore to this mind without conception. So here, these words here emphasize specifically the need to let all conceptual thoughts subside. It's not enough to just say, oh, I have realized the nature of mind, and then your mind is still running around and chaotic. So then it's saying like, then you have a lot of clouds. Then the light-giving constellations cannot shine through. So you need to pacify this monkey mind. Then if the wish-fulfilling gem of the two accumulations is not polished by aspiration, the results we have hoped for will not arise. Attend therefore to this final dedication. So many times, Khenchen Rinpoche and other lamas have given teachings on this. This is a very famous song of the Fivefold Mahamudra. Good to memorize this, actually, especially if you follow the Kangyur tradition. This is at the heart of the training.
Could you share that translation of it with us?
It's in the text I shared with you. Hello.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading from. You're all supposed to be looking at your text, I see a retired professor here, right? He recognizes, my statement. Nothing annoys a professor more when you have sent out assignments and they come to class and they have not read it and they don't have the book in front of them. So that's my molehill turned into a mountain. See? Good example.
Why is this polished by aspiration? Aspiration seems something that's very preliminary and not something that you would polish with.
Oh, yeah. So here is good question. So aspiration and dedication are two sides of the same thing. In some traditions, they actually say, oh, this is aspiration, this is dedication. But aspiration prayers, like the aspiration of, Maitreya, the aspiration of, all these great, like the most famous one, the king of aspiration prayers, is talking about that kind of aspiration. May I liberate all beings. May I, develop an ocean of qualities. May I. So he says these two accumulations of merit and wisdom. So so there's wish fulfilling gem, which is the two accumulations, to accumulate merit, right, and to accumulate wisdom. So it said these two accumulations has to be constantly polished by these aspirations. And if you don't do that, then the right results are not going to come. And then he says, and therefore, focus on dedicating. So it's a little unusual, Therefore, focus on dedicating. Then you're like, dedicating? Aspiration is what you do at the beginning, But this is another, kind of unique thing about Kyoba Rinpoche. Everything is always everything. The end is the beginning. So he takes us back to the very beginning, at the end of this. If the steed of love and compassion does not run for the benefit of others. And this benefit is just not just ordinary benefit, it's the benefit of Buddhahood. So it says, if your love and compassion is not compared to horses, strong horses, right? If your love and compassion, these strong horses, so first you need to strengthen these horses, but even after you've strengthened these horses, love and compassion, if they're not running for the benefit of others, and this word benefit is very important. It's not talking about ordinary benefit. Not talking about, oh, you got this person a job, you got this person a house. Very good, all those things. But this is not true benefit. The true benefit is helping them to get rid of mental defilements. So if your love and compassion is not directed at, is not running for the benefit of others, then he says, it will not be rewarded. The gods, the assembly of gods and men will not cheer you. This is a very vivid imagery. Tibetans love horse racing. So he's using that to appeal to, his audience, so to say, right? And here's one example, I have people asking me, well, doesn't this sound so competitive? Yeah. This is Buddha Dharma. This is not hippie tree hugging. You need skillful competitiveness. So here is saying yes, and I have people say, shouldn't you not worry about people cheering you? No, you want the gods and men to be cheering, to be congratulating you. So strive. Raise these horses, make them strong. And not only that, make sure they are, running for the benefit of others. Make sure they're running for the benefit of others. And again, this benefit, this word here, it's a very specific kind of benefit. So this song has been taught many times by Dugong Lamas, and if you just search, you can find. There's even like a book that was again privately published by Lam Kien Gyalpo Rinpoche. He has passed on. A short book where he comments on these 5 and the practices related to these 5. He has a book like that, translated into English. So anyway, today we are going to stop here. Remember, tomorrow we're not going to have class. I have to go to the Forest Hermitage land to do some things there. And then so we will meet back on Friday morning. Chanchu Sam Chorim Poje Ma Ge Banam Ge Gyurje Ge Banyam Pa Me Pa Yang Gone Gong Du Bel War Shu.
Thank you, Lapa.
Okay, bye bye all of you. Have a good
Thank
day.
you, Dorje Lopang.
Gracias.
Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.